Hello all, in this video we'll be going through a walkthrough of some of the new features available with Bimbeats 2.0. The new version of Bimbeats includes upgrades to our existing dashboards as well as some new dashboards. New dashboards will be marked with this icon on the right side of the name within any of the dashboard home pages. Let's start with what's new in the Key Performance Traffic Light Metrics dashboard. This is one of our bread and butter dashboards that shows the status of model health across all Revit projects that have been opened in your organization over the last time frame. Right now, we're looking at data from the last 7 days, and we're seeing files organized by file size, but we could organize them by any one of these metrics. So for example, I can see which are my files that are highest in size, I can see which files have the highest numbers of warnings, and I can see which files have the highest numbers of CAD imports. Bimbeats 2.0 is compatible with the newest versions of Elastic. Right now, I'm on Elastic 8.19. This new version of Elastic has some new features that we're taking advantage of. For example, tables now have the option to directly filter on click, which means that values within a table can be hyperlinked, and if I click on a value, it'll automatically create a filter for that project name. I see the options that I have before to apply a filter to the current view or to go to a drill down for that project. If I apply filter to current view, I can see that a filter has been created and I'm only seeing information relating to that project. Further, we have added helpful links within our dashboard. So for example, I can see that in this project, there are at least 2 views that are not on sheets that have been accessed in the last 7 days. I can use these links to go directly to a dashboard relating to that metric being shown. Use this dashboard to get a macro level overview on how all your Revit projects are faring in terms of different metrics relating to Revit model health. Now, I'm going to navigate to one of the new dashboards. Project Efficiency Report 1 week. This dashboard is very similar to the Model Traffic Light Metrics dashboard, but instead of showing us the latest value of each of these metrics relating to model health, we are seeing the difference in that value as it is today versus what it was a week ago. So for example, this dashboard actually lets me visualize which of my Revit files have increased the most in terms of file size, warnings, CAD imports, and CAD links. So whereas the previous dashboard shows the latest value or the current state of the model, this one lets us know which models are trending towards bad model health. Warm colored cells represent increase in that metric, whereas green cells represent a decrease in that metric. So you can also keep track of cleanup efforts. Within this dashboard, similarly, we can filter by file size or any of the metrics that we see here. So we can look at which projects have increased the most in terms of number of warnings in the last time frame, which projects have increased the most in the number of CAD imports, for example, in the last time frame. And I can see that in the last 7 days, I have a file that has increased by 4 CAD imports. We can also see metrics relating to the amount of activity in these files in the form of the number of open events, average opening time, the change in the total opening time, number of sync events, the average sync time, and the change in the total sync time. Again, these values represent an increase or decrease from what they were the week prior by calculating, in this case, the average opening time this week and calculating the difference from the average opening time for the last week. These values relating to model activity can also let us know the impact that some of these increases or decreases in model health metrics have affected opening and sync events. For example, we know that a high number of warnings correlates to a high number of opening time because Revit has to recreate those warnings when the file is open. In this case, we can see that this file has increased by 212 warnings, and we can see that the average opening time for this file has increased by 6 seconds. Similar to the Model Traffic Light Metrics dashboard, we can drill down further to look at information relating to how these metrics have changed over time. So for example, I can click on this value, and I can either apply a filter to current view, or I can go to custom actions, which will take me to drill down options, and I can go to the warnings trending dashboard. The warnings trending dashboard shows me how this model has changed in the number of warnings over the time period, and I can see when the spike in the number of warnings occurred. You will notice that the dashboard also has relevant links that will take us to dashboards relating to the information we're looking at. We can go to other dashboards relating to trending metrics by simply clicking on them, and this will retain the contextual information of the filters that we had applied. So I can look at trending information related to the same file name. I can see that this file has steadily increased over size over the last 15 days. I can go back to the warnings and see that this file has increased in warnings over the last 15 days. And I can look at how this file has changed relating to other imports. So steady number of CAD imports and a steady increase in the number of in-place families. Within these dashboards, I can link to other dashboards that are relevant to the data I'm looking at. So for example, if I'm in the warnings trending dashboard and I see that there was a spike in the number of warnings, I can narrow down the filter and apply filter to current view. And so now I'm looking at information only for that time range. And I can also go to a dashboard relating to project warning types and counts. So if I click on the actual line and select a project, I can go to a project warnings dashboard, and I can see for that same project exactly how many warnings exist and what these warnings are and the count of these warnings. Let's go back. If I return to the model traffic light metrics dashboard, I can see that this filter is still applied. I can remove the filter for this project to show you that we also have a project efficiency report for 1 month. This dashboard is essentially the same as the project efficiency report over 1 week, but it's showing us change over 1 month. Let's take a look at how these values are constructed. Within any of our dashboards, you can click on the edit button for any visualization to look inside of the hood and see how this visualization was created. Let's go to edit and lens, and we can see how this visualization is built. We are looking at data from the Revit event data view. We are excluding empty file names. We are excluding Revit families, and we are only getting data where the action name is one of open, sync, and save. This is because Bimbeats collects a lot of data relating to model health on open, sync, and save events. Let's see how these values are calculated. The rows are defined by the Revit file name, which is defined by the file.name field. Further, each column is defined using metrics. So the first column is file.size, and the value we're looking at is the last value of file size with a reduced time range of 1 month, meaning that even though we have the data set to 60 days, I'm only looking at time range from 1 month within that 60-day period. So I'm subtracting the last value of file size within that 1 month period to the last value of file size within another month period that is shifted by 1 month. So essentially what this is doing is giving us the last value of file size this month versus the last value of the file size from the previous month, and giving us a difference between those two values. The warnings column is calculated in the same way, looking at the last value of warning count from the last month and getting the difference to the last value of warning count from the previous month. There are many new updates and features with Bimbeats 2.0. As always, the best way to learn more is to click around and familiarize yourself with what's available. If you have any questions, you can engage with us in our forum. Thank you very much.